I feel so grateful.
Back in 2012, Katie Holmes famously managed to escape Scientology as well as her marriage to Tom Cruise. The odds were against her every step of the way, but someone you would never expect actually stepped in and helped her get out of that horrible situation. And you'll never believe who it was and how he did it. Back when Katie Holmes was still married to Tom Cruise, things really weren't looking great for her. The worst part was that she couldn't really leave him safely, especially because by that point she already had a kid with him. Their daughter Suri was just about 5 years old at the time. If Katie was going to leave, she needed to make sure Suri would be safe too, which made the whole situation just so much more complicated. It was really looking like both Katie and Suri might be stuck in Scientology hell with Tom, and things were getting worse by the day. But then out of nowhere, Katie got an opportunity that allowed her to plan their escape, and it was all thanks to Adam Sandler. In 2011, Katie played Adam's wife in his movie Jack and Jill. At that point, she wasn't really doing much professionally. She didn't go to award shows or have any roles in anything, and even though she didn't say anything about it, the reason was pretty obvious. She was slowly getting swallowed up by Tom and his Scientology cult. He was getting more and more control over her. She really had to act quickly if she wanted to get herself and Suri out, but the problem was that she had to plan everything in complete secret, because if Tom even suspected that she was planning to leave him, he would immediately stop her, and from there he would no doubt start controlling her even more. She pretty much just had one shot, but her escape actually required a lot of planning, and she couldn't just do that while living with Tom, especially since she had to contact lawyers and probably have meetings with them. And at that point, Tom would just know that she was doing something suspicious. What she really needed was a reason to spend some time away from home. That way she could plan out her escape and all of the details in peace without Tom knowing about any of it. That was when she got the offer to play Adam's wife in Jack and Jill. It wasn't really a big role. Katie only had a couple of lines in the movie, but one thing about Adam Sandler movies is that they pay very well. That's a well-known fact about them. The movies aren't expensive to film compared to how much money they make, and that means the actors get paid handsomely for their work, which is probably the reason why Katie was even allowed to be in the movie in the first place. At that point, Tom was already in control of her work and which opportunities she was allowed to take, and he wasn't letting her do almost anything. And from this point on, it's really all just a theory. Nobody is actually openly speaking about these things. Saying anything could still be dangerous for Katie, even now. But we can speculate that Tom probably made an exception and let Katie work on Jack and Jill because he knew the job would pay well. Not that he didn't have enough of his own money, but a big paycheck pretty much always sounds good. And she wasn't even going to be in the movie too much. But either way, for one reason or another, he actually let Katie take the role, and the movie presented the perfect opportunity she had needed all along. She had to spend probably a couple of weeks on set. That meant a couple of weeks without Tom or Scientology, and in that time, she was able to plan out everything for her escape, and there were a lot of things she needed to take care of. She needed a place to stay for her and Suri. She needed protection to make sure Tom couldn't just send someone to drag them both back. She also needed to get a good lawyer, and she needed to be absolutely sure that she would get full custody of Suri when it came time to settle the divorce legally. All of these were things she couldn't have taken care of at home because Tom would have probably found out. But the set of Jack and Jill was a safe place, and luckily she didn't need to spend all of her time there working on the movie. She really only had a couple of simple scenes, and another thing is there must have been lawyers on set already because of all the product placement in the movie. Normally, there wouldn't really be a divorce lawyer on set, but if Adam had actually done all of this for Katie intentionally, he could have easily hired one. It would have been simple just to disguise one divorce lawyer in the legal team, but obviously neither Adam nor Katie has confirmed that this whole thing actually was intentional. We don't even technically know for sure that it happened at all, but timing wise, it makes perfect sense. Jack and filmed in 2011, and just a few months later, Katie executed her plan to leave Tom once and for all, and it would have been very difficult for her to have planned it all on her own while living with Tom in the same household. But that obviously still doesn't prove that Adam actually planned all of this. For all we know, he could have just offered her the role for some other reason. Maybe he just really wanted her for the movie or something, except that doesn't really seem like something he would do. The whole thing about Adam is he's known for making silly movies with his friends. His movies aren't super artful, and they don't usually get very good reviews from critics. Instead, he and his friends just hang out and have fun with it. But the thing is, Katie wasn't really known to be one of Adam's close friends back then. They were never really associated with each other at all. And it's not like Adam doesn't have friends he could cast as his wife in the movie. He's actually really close friends with both Jennifer Aniston and Drew Barrymore. Both of them have appeared in Adam's movies multiple times, both before and after this whole thing with Katie went down. And to be fair, it's not like he never cast people outside of his friend circle. But there's still no reason why he chose Katie for Jack and Jill. Obviously, it could have all just been one huge coincidence, but I just think it's way more likely he did actually cast her for a reason, and that was to help her get out of the terrible situation she was in, especially since Adam was one of the very few people who could have done something like this for her. It was most likely the fact that his movies are known to pay really well that made Tom decide to actually let Katie take the role. At that point, he wasn't letting her work on just any movie, and money was probably the main reason he decided to make an exception. And Adam usually just casts his friends so that he can give them the paycheck, which makes it even less likely that he would just choose to cast Katie randomly. On the other hand, if he knew that she just needed a little space from Tom to plan her escape, it would have been a no-brainer for him to try and make that happen for her, especially since another thing Adam is known for is that he's just a good guy through and through. People who have worked with him only ever have nice things to say about him, and it's obvious that he even cares for the crew and everyone working behind the scenes. It's pretty easy to believe he would decide to help Katie out when he saw the situation she was in. At the end of the day, we can't really say for sure that's what actually happened, but either way, it's really nice to think about it that way. But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think Adam actually intentionally hired Katie so that she could escape Tom, or do you think it was all just a coincidence? Let me know in the comments below.